The importance of frames per second, or FPS, in a video game or movie is a subject that has long been debated. Does it matter? Does more frames equal a better experience? Well, the answer is yes, to a point. But how much is too much? Well, to answer that, we have to establish some ancillary information about how our eyes receive images, and to a greater extent, motion. You won't have to look very far on the internet to find some random guy stating his contentment for low frame rates simply because movies are viewed at 24 frames per second. And while random internet guy would technically be right, this has very little to do with frame rate. So the first logical step would be to ask, what is the frame rate of our eyes? You see, when you look at an image, that image is being processed in a special part of the cerebral cortex called the visual cortex. And the visual cortex retains the information it's receiving from your eyeball for a 1/15 of a second. So this means that anything 15 frames per second or higher will appear to have fluid motion. So the higher the frame rate, the more fluid the motion is. But at a certain point, if the motion is too fast, our brain adds in motion blur. Now let's take this spoon for example. If I move it very slowly, you can see where it's at every point in its journey. But if I speed it up, it adds in motion blur. And that's because we can track the trajectory of an object, and our mind is left to fill in the blanks of the frames that took place in between. And this is obvious in cinema or in modern video games, where motion blur is added in. And while 60 frames per second might be the preferred standard, increasing frame rates can come with side effects. With some TVs today boasting statistics of 200 or 500 or even 1,000 frames per second, what does that mean for the viewer? In many cases, these excessive frame rates can cause headaches or sickness. How do you eliminate the sickness that these frame rates cause? Motion blur. So while frame rate is important, at a certain point it becomes highly unnecessary and even detrimental to your viewing experience. If you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe, and keep it right here on Gaming Entertainment Network.